No one ever told you this clearly, so here it is. The problem isn't that you're lost. The problem is that the world doesn't make sense. You've probably noticed that you can have a life that looks perfectly fine on paper and still wake up every day with that dull sense that something is off. It's not sadness, it's not exhaustion, it's not boredom. It's something else. It's that question you pretend not to hear while scrolling your feed in traffic or smiling at a Sunday lunch. Why am I doing all this? That question is a virus, and the more awake you are, the stronger it grows. And here's the irony. We live in the age with more information, more freedom, more technology, more choices than any other era, yet we also have the highest rates of depression, anxiety, and suicide among young, healthy people. And what do they tell us is the reason? Lack of gratitude, lack of God, lack of focus. Wrong. Completely wrong. The truth is far more brutal. The more we understand the world, the less it seems to offer a real why. Maybe life doesn't have a built-in purpose. Maybe the emptiness you feel isn't a flaw in you, but a side effect of being too conscious. Peter Wessel Zapffe, a Norwegian philosopher almost nobody talks about, wrote that human consciousness was an evolutionary mistake. We went too far. We were built to survive, but we ended up cursed with the ability to see the absurdity of the struggle while we're still in it. And then comes the dilemma. What do you do with this level of awareness? There's no manual, school doesn't teach it, religion lost credibility, science stays silent, Instagram lies, and you go to college, get a job, date someone, travel, buy things, post pictures, and sometimes in the middle of all that, the truth hits you hard. None of it fills the void. That's why so many people collapse at their peak. That's why executives with everything end their lives. That's why people with stability, family, and comfort drown in antidepressants. It's not weakness, it's existential emptiness. And before you go searching for answers in cheap philosophy, self-help books, or some motivational fraud, I'll tell you up front, there's no ready answer. There's no formula. But there is a way to face the question without destroying yourself. We need to understand why finding purpose is so hard, and why it's not your fault. We need to explore how consciousness became a battlefield, how your brain sabotages your search for meaning, and how society forces you to act fulfilled even when you aren't. And what's actually possible to do even if the universe says nothing back. Because maybe purpose isn't found, maybe it's invented so we don't break. You never asked to be born. But here you are, stuck with a brain too big to ignore death and too small to understand existence. Maybe nature's biggest mistake was letting an animal evolve consciousness before giving it a reliable explanation for life. That animal is you. You don't know where you came from, you don't know where you're going, and everything between birth and death is a chain of decisions made in the dark with consequences you can't undo. Zapffe called this the tragedy of consciousness. According to him, humans are the only animals who know they will die while also being driven to seek meaning, an impossible contradiction. He wrote that humans were burdened with awareness far beyond what life needs. This awareness doesn't help, it paralyzes. Knowing too much about the emptiness of life corrodes the soul, and to avoid collapsing, humans create anesthetics, religions, routines, goals, ready-made purposes, denial mechanisms. But what if you're the kind who can't lie to yourself anymore? That's where Sartre comes in. He wrote that humans are condemned to freedom. It sounds beautiful, but it's really a sentence. Being free means there is no plan, no script, no divine mission, no built-in purpose. Life is a game with no rules. Whatever feels meaningful is either something you invented or something someone invented for you. Every choice destroys 1,000 others. Every step closes doors forever, and no one will ever tell you if you chose correctly. This is the unbearable weight of freedom. It comes with zero guarantees. Then Nietzsche arrives and delivers the fatal blow. God is dead, meaning the old certainties that held the world together collapsed, and with them disappeared the manual telling us our place in the universe. Now we are orphans of meaning, floating in an ocean of possibilities, forced to build our own reasons using fragments of ideas, traumas, desires, and contradictions. The result? People in their 20s, 30s, 40s with degrees, jobs, relationships, vacations, thousands of smiling pictures, and a question no medication can silence. Why am I still living? Camus wrote that the fundamental philosophical question is suicide, because before discussing anything else, we must answer if life is worth continuing. That's why so many people collapse quietly. Society pushes goals but never answers the real questions. It rewards success but ignores the agony of existence. And deep down, no one wants to admit it. Existential suffering is the rule, not the exception. People keep going out of instinct, stubbornness, fear, or because they learned something rare. Life doesn't need a universal purpose to be bearable, but it does require courage. And courage begins with facing the truth almost everyone avoids. There is no manual, no divine mission, no predetermined path. There is only you and the responsibility to decide what to do with the time between one cry and the next. Your brain doesn't care if you're fulfilled or enlightened. It only cares that you stay alive. That's the core of the problem. The machine inside your skull, the one directing your thoughts, impulses, fears, desires, was never designed to search for meaning. It was designed to react, escape danger, repeat behaviors that kept your ancestors alive, and avoid anything that looks like pain. What you feel as existential emptiness isn't a psychological glitch. It's the direct collision between two forces, the version of you that wants a meaningful life and the older, primitive machinery of your brain that only wants you to survive until tomorrow. This is why any search for purpose feels like a war against yourself. You want meaning, but your brain wants dopamine, and that's the first trap. Dopamine doesn't give satisfaction. It gives anticipation. Pleasure appears before and during the pursuit, never after. The happiness promised by getting there dissolves the moment you arrive. That's why after every achievement comes that strange silence, that "what now?" that makes you feel guilty for not being satisfied. Your brain's reward system is a dog chasing its own tail, and you're dragged around with it. Schopenhauer understood this long before neuroscience proved it. He wrote that life swings like a pendulum between boredom and pain. Boredom is what you feel when you're temporarily satisfied, and right after that comes the hunger for something new. What he called the will was this blind, irrational force pushing us forward, forever restless, forever dissatisfied. Today, neuroscience confirms it. We weren't built to be content. We were built to desire, and desire never ends. But the problem gets worse. While your brain pushes you to endlessly chase rewards, it also has a vulnerability built into it: comparison. Your nervous system doesn't evaluate life based on what you have, but based on what others seem to have. That's where the poison sets in. Modern life turned comparison into a daily torture ritual. Social media, with its curated illusions of beauty, success, happiness, productivity, and perfection, transformed every person into an eternal loser in their own mind. You could be doing everything right. You could have a stable career, a partner who cares about you, a place to live, health, even moments of peace. But one glimpse of someone more attractive, wealthier, happier, more admired, more fulfilled, and suddenly your brain screams that you're behind, that you failed, that everyone is doing better than you. It doesn't matter how irrational this is. Comparison is not a choice. It is automatic, instinctive, biological. It's a survival mechanism formed in tribal environments where status meant access to resources and protection. Today, it only destroys your self-esteem and sabotages your search for meaning. That's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. While you're looking for a purpose that feels complete, your brain is still operating like a primitive survival engine. Avoid this. Chase that. Stay alive. Don't fall behind. Don't stop. Keep going. Meaning is not part of the system, and you suffer because you're expecting the machine to do something it was never made to do. This conflict between a body that wants to keep moving and a consciousness that wants to understand why is the birthplace of modern anguish. And you cannot fix this with 5-minute meditation routines, gratitude lists, and those empty slogans about finding your passion. They don't work because the problem is deeper. Purpose isn't natural. It's not an instinct. It's an invention, a human construction. And constructing meaning requires effort, consciousness, and emotional stamina. It demands pushing against the inertia of a mind that prefers autopilot. A long time ago, simply existing was enough. If you were born, your place in the world was already defined. Your purpose was decided before you could speak. Community, religion, family, tradition, they gave you a role, a direction, a path. Today, you are born into a vacuum. You are born owing an existential explanation. If you don't have a passion, a vision, a calling, a dream, a 5-year plan, a personal brand, a purpose, you're treated as if something is wrong with you. Modernity sold us freedom, but forgot to mention the side effects. When the old certainties collapsed, you inherited the weight of inventing a meaning for a universe that might not have any. In the past, purpose was inherited. Today, purpose is demanded. And if you can't craft one out of thin air, society calls you lost. Nietzsche warned us, convictions are more dangerous enemies of truth than lies. Now that religion, tradition, and collective rituals lost their authority, what's left isn't truth, it's emptiness. Science explains how things function, but it doesn't tell you why you should get out of bed. Politics turned into entertainment, communities dissolved, families fractured, and in the ruins of all that, the individual is left alone to create a purpose from scratch. But instead of giving real tools, society turned purpose into a product. Spiritual entrepreneurship, personal branding, high-performance lifestyles, 7-step formulas for eternal fulfillment. The illusion is cruel. The system tells you that meaning is within reach, but only if you keep chasing, buying, striving, improving. It needs you to feel incomplete so it can keep moving. It needs you hungry, insecure, always almost there. The result is paralysis. Too many possibilities become a threat instead of freedom. If everything is possible, everything is also your responsibility. The myth of total freedom becomes a mental prison. Finding your purpose stops being a journey and becomes another item on your performance checklist. And when you fail to find it, when you don't know what to do with your life, the blame falls on you. You didn't try hard enough. You didn't meditate correctly. You didn't manifest properly. You didn't follow your passion with discipline. This is the emotional version of meritocracy, and the numbers prove it. The generations raised on freedom, purpose, and self-discovery are the most anxious, depressed, and exhausted in history. Freedom without structure became a minefield. The search for meaning became another burden, and identity turned into a never-ending project doomed to fail. As Zygmunt Bauman wrote, in liquid modernity, nothing is built to last. Not jobs, not relationships, not communities, not even the self. And if the self is unstable, how can meaning be stable? Modern culture taught you that you need to be everything, but gave you no foundation to hold anything. It told you that if you're not fulfilled, it's because you haven't found yourself yet. But maybe there is no ideal self waiting to be discovered. Maybe the real relief isn't in finding yourself, but in accepting that losing yourself is part of living, that life is improvisation, and that no purpose is final. Maybe that is enough. Most people around you are living on autopilot, because if they stopped for even a minute to think, everything would fall apart. No one talks about this at family lunches, in work meetings, or in filtered photos online, but silently, everyone is fighting the same monster. Life, at its core, is empty, and everything we do is a desperate attempt to pretend otherwise. You wake up, eat, work, distract yourself, scroll, consume, repeat. And in the tiny spaces between one stimulus and another, there it is, the void. Not sadness, not depression, just awareness. Too much awareness. Albert Camus, in The Myth of Sisyphus, called the state the absurd, the clash between the human need for meaning and the universe's complete indifference. He wrote that the absurd is born from the confrontation between our desire for clarity and the world's silence. This is one of the most devastating ideas in modern philosophy, and one of the truest. You want life to have a deeper meaning, but the world doesn't answer. It just goes on. And that's where so many people break. They try to fill the emptiness with anything that looks promising: career, marriage, children, recognition, spirituality, self-improvement. But nothing is guaranteed to work. And when these pillars crack, and at some point they always do, the emptiness returns stronger than before, carrying the taste of failure. People say things like, you need something bigger than yourself. But what if there is nothing bigger? What if this is just an interval between two nothings? That question destroys people because it has no escape. It can't be silenced with blind faith or comfortable cynicism. It demands courage, the kind Camus spoke of. Courage to face the absurd directly and keep living anyway. But modern culture hates this idea. The self-help industry hates this idea. The spiritual gurus hate this idea. They need you to believe there is something more waiting for you. Some higher plan, some hidden truth, some inner light, some destiny. Not because it's true, but because hope keeps the system running. Hope keeps you functioning. Hope keeps you consuming. Hope prevents you from asking questions that might collapse everything. But lucidity has a price. It reveals that the emptiness you feel is not a defect. It's not a lack of gratitude. It's not a failure. It's simply a symptom of being honest, of seeing life without illusions. And that can be terrifying, but it can also be freeing. Because once you accept the emptiness as the default, not the exception, you stop obsessively searching for the cure and start understanding the truth. Living with consciousness means living with absence. Meaning isn't something you find, it's something you build on unstable ground, something that can fall apart at any moment, something that requires reinvention. You move without a map. You stay awake without going insane. Most people don't want this kind of freedom. It hurts too much. It demands too much. But for those who can bear it, there is a strange power in it, something no system, no doctrine, no ideology can take away. The power to keep your eyes open in front of the void without collapsing. And when you stop waiting for life to reveal a ready-made purpose, something new appears, the freedom to create your own. Not a cosmic truth, not a divine mission, not a universal meaning, just a gesture, a direction, a choice. Nobody is coming to tell you how to live. No angel, no God, no philosophy, no sign. If you're waiting for a message from the universe, the silence is the message. After everything collapses, religion, community, biology, family myths, cultural stories, you're left with only one thing. You. Just you, naked, lucid, exposed to the absurd. No map, no promise. And here comes the truth the sellers of happiness will never admit. The meaning of life is not discovered, it is created. Invented from scratch, built by hand, built through choices. Viktor Frankl, a psychiatrist and Holocaust survivor, wrote, "Life is never unbearable because of circumstances, but only because of a lack of meaning." But he also warned, meaning cannot be given, it must be found. And what he didn't add, but lived through, is that meaning is not only found, it is carried, sustained, assumed. This changes everything. You are not here to uncover a predetermined destiny. You are here to make decisions that create coherence inside you, even if the universe remains silent. You are the author, even if you write with trembling hands, even if you write with blood. The freedom that once felt like a punishment becomes possibility. If nothing is given, then everything can be made. But creating purpose is not about changing the world, becoming famous, discovering enlightenment, or achieving greatness. It's much simpler. It's choosing to show up, choosing not to give up, choosing to build something small but real. Purpose isn't choosing to take care of someone, choosing to do your work with integrity even if nobody praises you, choosing to express something through art, through writing, through effort, through kindness, through presence. Purpose is in the quiet things, the small things, the things no one will ever applaud. It's like writing a letter and throwing it into the sea, not because someone will read it, but because you needed to write it. Camus said that in the face of the absurd, the only honest response is rebellion, a rebellion without hope, without illusions, without guarantees. The true artist is not someone who values life more than others, but someone who refuses to lie about it. And maybe that's all you need to do. Refuse to lie to yourself. Refuse to pretend the void isn't there. Refuse to paint your life with cheap positivity. There is no victory at the end of this journey, but there is dignity. And sometimes, dignity is enough. The search for purpose doesn't end with an answer. It ends with the decision to live as if meaning is possible, even if it isn't. And maybe that decision, fragile as it is the meaning. You feel this emptiness because you're awake. That's the part people never admit. They say it's lack of faith, lack of gratitude, lack of discipline, but it's none of that. It's awareness. And awareness is expensive. You start seeing through the illusions that keep most people functioning. You start noticing that the world's promises are paper thin. You realize that every structure we rely on is fragile, temporary, improvised. And when you see all that clearly, the ground beneath you shakes. The modern world didn't prepare you for this. It told you to chase dreams, follow passions, achieve goals, build a brand, be productive, be happy, find purpose, be your best self. But it never told you what to do when none of that works. It never taught you how to deal with silence, with uncertainty, with the absence of a grand narrative holding everything together. Today, you're forced to be your own foundation. But foundations aren't built overnight, so you wobble, you doubt, you collapse. and then you blame yourself for collapsing. Modern culture turned your identity into a never-ending construction project. You're expected to reinvent yourself constantly, upgrade yourself endlessly, optimize your emotions, curate your image, manage your energy, cultivate your mindset, heal your trauma, choose the right habits, eat the right food, think the right thoughts, be spiritual but not weird, ambitious but not greedy, confident but not arrogant, different but not too different. You're supposed to figure out who you are and advertise it at the same time. No wonder you're exhausted. No wonder the world feels heavy. No wonder the emptiness grows. You are carrying the weight of what entire communities once carried together. In the past, the meaning of life wasn't found, it was inherited. It came wrapped in rituals, stories, myths, religion, family expectations, cultural roles. Today, you have none of that. You have freedom, yes, but freedom without structure dissolves you. And yet you're told to be grateful for it. You're told to celebrate it. But deep down, you feel the chaos. Deep down, you feel the absence of a guiding thread. Deep down, you feel like you're building a house on dissolving sand. And you are. But here's the twist. Everyone is. Only few admit it. Most people hide behind distractions, routines, entertainment, substances, work, relationships, anything that keeps the mind busy enough to avoid the real questions. But the questions don't disappear. They wait. They knock at night. They whisper when you pause. They rise when you're alone. They remind you that for all the noise, the world is silent. And it's precisely here, precisely in this place of disillusionment, that something important begins. The moment you stop expecting the universe to explain itself, you begin to understand that meaning is not a discovery, it's a responsibility. You build it, you carry it, you invent it, even while knowing it might collapse tomorrow. This is not failure, this is maturity. It's the shift from asking, why does life have no meaning, to asking, what meaning can I create with the time I have? The difference is everything. Instead of waiting for answers from outside, you become the source. Instead of searching for a path, you build one, step by step. Knowing it might change, knowing it might fall apart, knowing you might have to build it again, and again, and again. That's the essence of being human, creating meaning in a world that offers none. It's rebellion, it's art, it's survival with dignity. The world tells you that meaning is found in big achievements, in grand victories, in dramatic transformations. But most genuine meaning comes from small acts. Caring for someone even when no one sees, choosing honesty over comfort, creating something that didn't exist before, showing up on days when your mind says there's no point, keeping a promise to yourself, helping someone who won't repay you, doing the right thing when it would be easier not to. These small choices are the bricks of meaning. They're fragile, temporary, imperfect, but they are real. And in a world built on illusions, the real is rare. And because it's rare, it matters. Your brain will fight you every step of the way. It will push you toward comfort, toward distraction, toward repetition, toward the familiar. It will sabotage you with fear, procrastination, doubt, comparison, craving. It will try to keep you alive, not fulfilled. But fulfillment doesn't come naturally. It comes from choosing to rise above your programming long enough to create something that feels true to you. And that's the real work of being alive, not surviving, but creating coherence. Creating moments that feel aligned even if they're brief. Creating a narrative you can stand behind even if it's fragile. Creating reasons to continue even if none are guaranteed. The people who thrive are not the ones who find meaning, they're the ones who build it daily from scratch, with whatever they have in whatever condition they're in. They're not fearless, they're not enlightened, they're not certain. They simply refuse to stop constructing. They refuse to choose, they refuse to surrender to the void, and that refusal is everything. You don't need to understand life to live it well. You don't need a divine mission to move forward. You don't need the universe to justify you. You just need to keep choosing the next honest step, the next meaningful gesture, the next act of courage, even if it's tiny, even if it's quiet, even if no one notices. Meaning is not loud. Meaning is not glamorous. Meaning is not permanent. Meaning is built in the dark, in private, in silence, by people who decide to keep going even when nothing makes sense. You are one of those rare people. If you weren't, you wouldn't be reading this. Something in you refuses to settle for illusions. Something in you wants truth, even when it hurts. Something in you wants clarity, not comfort. And that something, it's the beginning of everything. If you made it this far, it's because you feel it. That quiet ache no one names properly. That pressure behind the ribs. That silent urgency to give your existence a meaning that doesn't feel fake. Maybe you've tried to explain it before and people didn't understand. Maybe they told you to cheer up, pray more, work harder, be grateful, think positive, stop overthinking. But deep down you know it's not that simple. You're not broken. You're awake. And being awake in a world built on distraction is painful, but it's also rare. And if this text resonates with you, it's because you're fighting the same battle we talk about here every day. The battle against the absurd, the exhaustion, the weight of consciousness, the noise of the world, and the silence of the universe. And that matters. It means you're not crazy. You're not alone. You're part of the tiny percentage of people who actually look at life directly without filters and don't run. And that alone already puts you in a different category of human beings, the ones who feel deeply, think deeply, and seek coherence instead of comfort. That's courage, that's strength, that's lucidity. And if beyond watching, reading, and thinking you want to support this kind of work, there are ways to do it. Becoming a member, supporting with a single contribution, joining the behind-the-scenes discussions, being part of a space where people like you can think honestly without being judged or silenced. But even if you never do any of that, the fact that you're here reading, questioning, reflecting already helps more than you imagine. It keeps this whole thing alive. It means these ideas matter to someone. It means the effort isn't thrown into a void without echo. And if you comment, share, or simply sit with these thoughts quietly, you're already part of this project. Because this isn't entertainment, it's construction. It's an ongoing attempt to build meaning in a world that keeps erasing it. And if we build together, if we think together, if we support each other's lucidity, then this becomes more than a video, more than a script, more than a channel. It becomes a place, a strange, quiet, honest place where people who see too much can breathe for a moment. The world is full of noise, full of speed, full of illusions, full of pressure. It rewards superficiality and punishes depth. It celebrates distraction and avoids awareness. It encourages performance and discourages honesty. So when someone like you shows up and chooses to engage with ideas like these, you're doing something profoundly countercultural. You're resisting the algorithm of life itself. And maybe that's the point. Maybe meaning isn't found in some grand revelation, but in these small acts of rebellion, and staying conscious when the world wants you numb, and thinking when the world wants you scrolling, and feeling when the world wants you performing, and questioning when the world wants you obedient. Maybe the meaning of life isn't a sentence. Maybe it's a stance, a posture, a refusal, a declaration that even though the universe is silent, you won't be. Even though the world is empty, you'll build something. Even though the future is uncertain, you'll walk anyway. Even though nothing is guaranteed, you won't surrender your lucidity. The meaning of life might simply be the act of living with your eyes open, refusing to let the void swallow you whole. Maybe meaning is choosing to create coherence where none is offered. Maybe meaning is choosing to love someone even though you'll know you'll lose them someday. Maybe meaning is choosing to care in a world that punishes vulnerability. Maybe meaning is choosing to improve something small even though you know it won't change the world. Maybe meaning is choosing honesty even when lies would be easier. Maybe meaning is choosing to show up tomorrow even when today made no sense. These aren't cosmic truths, they're human truths. They're the threads you weave into something that feels real enough to hold on to. They're how you rebel against the absurd. They're how you say, I know the universe isn't different, but I'm here anyway. I know nothing is promised, but I choose to keep going. I know meaning might be invented, but I will invent it with my own hands. And when you do that not once, but repeatedly, you create a life with dignity. Not perfection, not certainty, dignity. And sometimes dignity is the closest thing we have to purpose. If this message reached you, it means something inside you is alive, restless, searching, refusing to accept shallow answers. Protect that part of yourself, feed it, honor it, because the world will try to suffocate it. The world will try to distract you, numb you, simplify you. Don't let it. Stay awake even when it hurts. Stay conscious even when it's heavy. Stay questioning even when the answers don't come. Because that's where meaning is built, in the effort itself, in the refusal to look away, and the willingness to continue. The universe won't give you a sign. The silence is the sign, and your response to that silence, that's your purpose. If you can hold on to your lucidity, your honesty, your courage, even for a few seconds at a time, you're already doing something extraordinary. The world has enough noise, enough illusions, enough distraction. What it lacks are people like you. People who think, who feel, who question, who refuse to sleepwalk through their existence. So stay. Continue. Support if you can. Reflect if you can't.